Well, I don't know what to say. I don't hate it, but I don't appreciate it also. I just can't get it. How such a dark, deep psychological drama could become so cute, rainbow-colored Final Fantasy clone. It all seems so cheap. Why it is cheap? Let's find it out. As you know, we have two variants of the storyline. The first begins in Fredbear's family diner. There, a brown Fredbear soft costume on an animatronic is walking. One day, the character, known as Purple Guy, kills near the restaurant a crying child. In such way, we get the oldest and the most powerful ghost, the puppet. But some time later, a new place appears, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. There, the very first band is acting. But soon a catastrophe happens, and here murder strikes back in Fox's Go 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 minigame. Till the 1993, nothing is heard about Fazbear Entertainment or their cooperators, opponents from Fredbear's family diner. Another pizzeria is opened, Fredbear and Friends. Yes, now for location. 3 years later, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has a reopening in a new place, FNaF 2 restaurant. Here Purple Guy comes back again. Well, he doesn't. As you know, Purple Guy's sprites and Foxy's debut and gift cakes are the same, but they are totally different from Save Them minigames. After it, the community started to speculate about an existence of another character, Pink Guy, and about who really was a killer, and if it's the same person but in different ages. Argues became hot after FNaF 3 release. But we'll forget about it for now. Let's focus on another important event, the disappeared children case. When did it happen? Well, just before Save Them minigame. Maximum 3 months. Where had the bodies gone? To old animatronics. Do you remember what Fungi said about them?
But they were just so ugly, and the smell.
And what's written in one of the papers? I wish this question is clear. And where did it happen? In Frostbound France. Do you remember the commercial in FNAF 4? Can you see it? Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie and Chica are there. It definitely couldn't take place in the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, because the first big murderous hunt was done there, and Fungi himself in the first night in FNAF 2 tells us that some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company, and that old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while. Moreover, papers in FNAF 1 are hallucinations, and what's the reason to bring papers in a close to location? How does it affect on Fazbear Entertainment? Quite hard. As you know, Fungi made training records about golden costumes, and also Purple Guy could be seen both in Fazbear and Friends and FNAF 2 restaurant. For a long time a theory existed that Fazbear's family diner owners and Fazbear Entertainment are hard opponents, and Springlock suits were Fazbear's family diner owners' priority only. But as we can see now, Fazbear and Friends and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza belong to Fazbear Entertainment. Future Springtrap suit in FNAF 1 and hysterical Fungi speech about a yellow suit that someone used are good proofs for it. Why newspapers hadn't written about it immediately? Because of 90 days. From all these things we get two interesting facts. The murder had a quite high SS level, so the investigation begins, and Fungi said us about it. And the reason of creating of BB and Puppet was to distract the public from the unfortunate events. The next main event is the Boat of 87. It and its prehistory was shown in FNAF 4. There is no Bite of 83. The first argument is, what's the reason for Scott to tell us about some mystery 83's incident that's exactly the same as 87's? Does it give us more information or explain us something? No, in this case it gives more confusion. The second argument is that the commercial, that's surely a commercial, but not an animated series. Look closely. What's the reason for Scott to tell us about a serial? This fact doesn't have a big quality in any case. The get-up is close to Scott's way of making trailers and of any commercial. The speed of changing of pictures, low detailed backgrounds, text styling. You can say that mini games are sketchy way of showing events and surroundings. You'll be right, but if Scott wants to show that it is a cartoon, he would add some animation and more colorful backgrounds in title. But he doesn't. And who would even name a series as some year? I mean 1983. I'm sure you've got logic. But when exactly in 87th it happened? If we remember FNaF 2 newspaper, at the very end of the game it said the restaurant worked for few weeks, and the records were done in summer. And in two last quads, Chairman Fritz worked in November. So the conclusion is the bite of 87 took place after the missing children incident and just before the big summer closing of FNaF 2 location. Also, this event gives us Golden Freddy. What is he? As it was said, owner of Redburn France and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is the same, so it's natural that after the bite and finding bodies in the old ones, broken animatronics was sent for examination and repairing to better equipped and bigger place, new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The only yellow broken bot that we know was Fredbear, and he accidentally killed FNAF 4 Kid. So Golden Freddy is the beaten one's ghost. The mysterious voice promising to fix us back, FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame, and disappearing Golden Freddy and save them when Freddy comes closer to him are the proofs. After the official closing of new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, November-December of 1987, Fazbear Entertainment goes out of business. It tries to come back in 1993 by means of reconstruction of the very first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location. Nothing really happens there except Fungai's death. Also, somehow Puppet and Golden Freddy appear in this place, and the community started to argue if Purple Man is Mike or Fungi. My answer on this is neither one nor another. He can't be Mike because if he tried to figure out the situation of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to destroy robots, he could do it earlier, because by the time the Mike Storm started, Fungi had been already dead. The second case is impossible because animatronics had to be destroyed. I don't think Fazbear Entertainment, if it finds a body of one of its employees, would continue the reconstruction. Now let's disprove the estimation that the papers in FNAF 1 describes Purple Guy's imprisonment. The thing is, if he's the murderer and he was caught, why his sentence was so mild? Sorry, he recently killed 9 children, and, as the papers said, he was seen on cameras. It's understandable for bodies in the old ones. Maybe he was judged, but definitely not for murders. Hey, this is another proof why he can't be at least Fungi. Now let's move to FNAF 3 gameplay events. And I'm a little bit confused as everyone by 2 endings. The strangest thing is not even the possibility of 2 finals, but the fact that both paths lead to one event, Burning on Fazbear's Fright. This may has 2 meanings. Secret minigames have no sense, which unreasonable and stupid for Scott, and 2 endings are for different groups of ghosts. Let me explain. So we have 9 children killed by a maniac during 90 days. 1, the puppet, killed long ago by the same guy, and 1 from unfortunate accident, the bite. We know that toy animatronics are not haunted, but controlled by Puppet, and the old ones and robots from FNAF 1 are surely haunted, and old ones not reskinned versions of the original band. At one moment, original Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy were brought to new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Old animatronics were already there, and they were already haunted, so the souls of killed in Save Them minigame were stuffed by puppets in these robots. These souls divided into groups. One with the old ones, Golden Freddy and Puppet, another with original band. The first team decided that they would be free if they tried to make happy the beaten one's ghost, and it's a correct way. The second, that they have to make revenge, so their masks are shining. The fifth mask belongs to Shadow Freddy, or it have to be a reference to the player, like, hey, you missed something. But here problems come out with this variant of the story. Wasn't it easier to bring just service of original band? How Puppet can have a chance to revive 5 new children if the bodies were definitely found very soon? Where is the soul of the fifth child, disguised himself as Shadow Freddy or Shadow Bonnie? Why didn't Puppet stop the killer? How is it possible that killer was unseen after all these murders? Time period during the attacks is too little. Okay, let's think that I broke my own theory, but this smart guy will definitely agree with me. Now let's take a look at one of the most popular one. As you know, it provides that the old ones, originals, toys and golden costumes became haunted in different locations and in different time periods. If it is true for all animatronics, who did it? It couldn't be Puppet because her body was created in 87 and Fungi proves it. And nobody told us about the mysterious what? Prototype? Just some old robot? Here can remember a bear and a skeleton, but it wasn't Puppet's original body. It's too close to the old ones, which are not so old as they seem. And Puppet is still active when and the skeleton comes out. And game gave us a postulate that soul can change its body freely, and in case it loses its body, soul takes the form of an animatronic that killed it. You got the idea. I want to say that all FNaF games are the beaten one's nightmares. Frankly speaking, you can easily broke all I've said before. Everything what is related to ghosts, Fredbear Friends and FNaF 2 is inconsistent. So let's look at our irreplaceable tutor, Fungi. If the events are true and locations are real, there have to be a real administration and problems. And if it is a person who has a high post and contacts people a lot, have to know some rules that can help his company to exist as long as possible, doesn't he? And Fungi fails it. He always says things that he not has to tell or even mustn't. The clearest example is in FNaF 2 Night 1 call. Let's analyze it.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I'm here to talk you through some of the things you can expect to see during your first week here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path. Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old locations, you know. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety. They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Heck, we should be paying them to guard you. Now, that being said, no new system is without its kinks. You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift.
Wait. Why did you start to talk about the previous god? I don't mean that the newcomer mustn't know about his forerunner at all, but the fact that one of the main employees tells about him to simple night guard can threaten new guy. Well, continue, dear.
So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seem to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible, that restaurant should be the safest place on earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. So our temporary solution is this. There's a music box over by the prize counter, and it's rigged to be wound up remotely. So just every once in a while, switch over to the prize counter video feed and wind it up for a few seconds. It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them.
Whoa, dude, what is it? Why did you start chatting about toys working process? To explain why the guy has that Freddy mask? Fancy that! You could explain everything broadly. Just exclude these sentences and everything will be okay. But you said clear text that Fazbear Entertainment engineers don't know what happened to their animatronics. Great job! Fazbear Entertainment has already big problems, as this recording definitely was made after Marder's first attack. And now you confirm manufacturing of the smartest and the safest robots. I guess the relatives of these two, and that four, will be very glad to hear this speech. Yes, in Jeremy's case, it hasn't any sense if he hears or sees something cryptic, but as we know...
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
At the moment of recording, it had to be a catastrophe. It's also strange that Fungi mentions some birthday before Big Summer knew Freddy Fazbear's Pizza shut down. You know, it hadn't to happen. Just imagine a furious crowd of parents that lost their children in kids' restaurant, and they have a proof, and the company has no arguments except 90 days for cleaning everything. I suspect they forced Fazbear Entertainment to stop its business for a while, even before the bite of 87. But they didn't. What's the reason, guys? Your children didn't sign this lovely contract. Need more? No problem. Not one. So here the company have very little money, but it decides to reconstruct the very first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It's normal, but why didn't they notice the vanishing of their main employee? I mean Fungi. The thing is, he was dead at least 1 week, maybe a little bit less. At that moment, he was the only person who knew how to operate animatronics, how to repair them, possibly how to make a good PR company for them. In other words, it was their last chance to come back into business. And headmasters didn't notice that he was brutally killed by robots. Seriously, do you remember what I said about Fungi's stupidity? In this part it's over the hill. How he, a man that worked with different kinds of animatronics, didn't even try to fix the original band. Little money, you say? Okay, why not to take them apart? Because he said that it would harm them? Do you really believe every his word? These guys are quite old, their machinery had to be repaired, and it implies a taking them apart. They look like they've been cleaned and fixed before Mike's term. Not perfectly, but they've handled with taken apart very well first time. Why they have to crash now? Oh, maybe you Fungi take all suits to the safe room, which is invisible for animatronics, until you'll fix this dangerous bug. Or why you simply go to another job after couple days of working as night guard. Seriously, why not to go to the headmaster and say that working at Silent Hill Happy Burger department is safely than this mess and go away? Such people as you are required. You're obedient, silly, have a great experience of working with people and or engineering, and you have a nice voice. What's the problem? To assure you, let's go to FNaF 3. Still, I want to talk with Fungi. Well, in this case, with Fondude. how it is possible that you or your workers didn't notice a body inside an animatronic. If Night God looks at Springtrap on several cameras or at the window, he will notice some strange red smiley thing inside this big walking junk chip. And it's watching through cameras with its big human-like sloppy eyes. Okay, he can think that it's just a decoration until Springtrap gets to his office, but Night God is the only man who can think so. When the guys were investigating the pizzeria building, they had to notice a smell which had to be very strong. Purple guy was as in a crypt in the safe room. When people open tombs, they can feel quite a strong and dangerous smell. The same thing and here. The searchers opened Purple Guy's tomb. Moreover, there was a lot of blood, and the body itself looked strange. If I discover such an amazing finding, I'll be like that.
Supposed to look like that?
No, I've never seen a mummy look like this before. He's still
Juicy.
yes, as if he's still decomposing.
Yeah, look at that. What do you make of this?
God, these marks were made. Fingernails. This man was buried alive. And he left a message. Death is only the beginning.
It's a curse!
The another thing is Puppet. I don't mean her appearance, but her motives and logic in her actions. What's the reason to show the god burned animatronics? Save him from fire? You want to say that Puppet, besides human reviving and creating undeads, can see future? If it is, why didn't she try to use this ability to save kids? She couldn't. For at least 23 years she was unable to see future, but suddenly, after killing a man that could be or not could be a murder, she gained that ability. What's the trigger? It's twice strange if the Night God is the real or the second killer. Why she wants to save him, or the god sees the future. In this case, he is an alive phenomenon in this universe. No one of characters before couldn't predict even the nearest future by using a simple logic operations. And now we're talking about the fire that can happen or cannot. I can make it crazier. Let's imagine that the Night God is just a random person that hasn't any experience with animatronics before, and Springtrap may do some harm to him. Besides the confusion that he is able to see toys, olds and originals, what is weird in this situation? Puppet's inactivity. She does nothing to save the god from Springtrap. Moreover, she throws her phantom to our face if we give a glance at her. It's kind of aggressive. The only logical explanation of it is she is completely nuts. The last detail is ventilation is lockable even on the first night. Before it the owners had no hope that they would find a real one. The finding of Springtrap is a great luck, and before they examine and learn all his tricks, they have no reason to block ventilation. So, why it is lockable? The last proofs are well known. Chica's big similarity FNaF 1 office and FNaF 4 room. Purple Man is purple because he is in dark, and in most of Atari games, which style many games try to follow, shadow tone as purple or shades of purple. Mangle exists because there is a Toy of Destroyed Toy Foxy action figure. Foxy always hides anywhere because the Beaten One's brother did it in Foxy's mask. Toy animatronics are toy because of action figures. Plushes are in FNaF 1 and FNaF 2 because the Beaten One had plushie toys and some other facts, but these are the most important. From my perspective, the theory is proved, but now I want to say some afterwards. Maybe I'm doing a great mistake right now, maybe I have to finish the video, but there are still some things that confuse me and make me think that everything is a little bit more complicated than it looks. The first thing was noticed by this smart girl. The fact is the angle of lamps on the stage can't allow a clear shadow in place where we see it. And the bodies don't go behind the curtains. Possible explanations. Something paranormal exists in the Beaten One's universe. This theory is supported by the fact that the main hero is afraid of springlock costumes. I don't say that some models were done or animatronics walk around at night, but at least something happened that caused his fear. Counting these shadows, even that accident. The second theory is Scott pointedly broke perspective to show us that shadows are nothing but shadows. That's not the first time when he did it in FNaF 4. For example, we can see face of the Beaten One in the Night 4 minigame. It's clear here that he have to look at door, but this view may us think that he knows where camera is situated and he tries to make some drama effect. It's not true. It's just vision style. Scott and many others 2D games developers do such things. Nothing cryptic is here, but it doesn't cancel the fact that Beaten One is afraid of costumes and purple guy. Just in case, the Beaten One is told some creepy stories after a minigame that contains Shadow, Springlock costume and Purple Man Easter egg. Another thing is there are no people on Boy's birthday party. Literally, there is no person. It proves two facts. The first is at least grown-ups wouldn't let this bullies to get my hero to Fredbear's mouth. Employees had to prevent it. Where is Purple Guy in the end? Or security guard? We can remember the Night 2 minigame and dark green shirt, dark blue jeans guy, but his speech is the current proof that at that minigame there could be people besides two entertainers, ourselves and Purple Guy. But here is nobody, just we and our tortures. And it's extremely superstitious how it can be possible that there is nobody on the Beaten One's birthday party, and he is a little child, and we can't see even parents or employees. We're left, we're looked just as dead victims in FNaF 1 papers. At least it looks like it. This leads us to another strange thing, and it touches Purple Guy. It's interesting how this guy in Nightmares contains everything bad of people that the Beaten One knew, and the boy thinks that Purple Man is the first who's responsible for his death. It's better to say that Purple Man became some kind of boogeyman for Boy, because, he's in the dark and Boy doesn't know what exactly he's doing. But, as I said, Boy is told creepy stories about employees later, and there is still nobody in their pre-final minigame. Also, that second dressed man proves that they both are not in complete darkness. Faces of both could be seen, but the Beaten One afraid or just don't want to look closer. Maybe it is Purple Guy's work that there was nobody to protect the Beaten One from bullies. It's just my thoughts. I don't say that's true. Moreover, I'll argue with anybody who thinks that Purple Guy takes an enormously big part in this story. From this point, I would like to say some words about future film. This storyline can be a good plot for film. Again, I don't say that it takes part in an original story, but as Gil Cannon said, film won't tell the original FNaF story, but it will join with it in some points. This scenario fits it very well. It's complicated. It's not about the Beaten One, but about one of the most beloved characters in FNaF, Purple Guy. The most interesting here is you still can use here Springtrap. Why not? Imagine this, the soul of Purple Guy or some kind of child's psychological himself-reflection suffers in Springborn suit and tries maybe not more to get help, but not to do harm. There is still some night guard that Springtrap has to protect from himself. So he hides in such dark and cold corner as possible and waits for the next night to be spent like this. But suddenly, from nowhere, other animatronics appear and they try to hunt the god or even gods. So big fight between robots and Springtrap begins. Later it turns into a hunt on undead purple guy. During this, Springtrap remembers and about his own tragedy that made him hate the Beaten One, the fact that he hated him when he was alive, and also he realizes what really Puppet and Golden Freddy are. And it's a great theme. The fact is, if you try to analyze Puppets and Golden Freddy's characters, you find out many interesting things. One of them is Puppet in fact is an enemy but not protector. Do you remember what I said about her behavior? There is more. Puppet represents pure rage. That's why you have to keep an eye on her. Also, if we remember her images in FNAF 1, we understand that the fifth ghost is she in FNAF 3 final minigame, and the way of revenge is what she offers us. But unlikely for her, the Beaten One's mind simulated the situation where the person who was hurt by him tries to revenge. But there is another story, and psychological analysis of Puppet's character is a theme for other video, as well as Golden Freddy's and Purple Guys. The fact is, if you do everything in FNAF a little bit dark and give an ability to walk around, it could turn into a Silent Hill-like scenario. I mean the first 4 parts. Hey, 4 original parts that are psychological horror dramas. There is a dog that does no sense but everybody loves her. The gameplay process that doesn't really change but with every new game becomes deeper and more complicated. One big bad scary guy in one of the parts that technically could be seen in another, and he's the only who does everything right. Well, it's all because the main character is so egoistical that there was no reason to continue. And there is an RPG that nobody needs but it exists, and it could be played on portable devices. Scott, haven't you ever worked on Konami? Or in Konami? Maybe Kojima Productions? No? Okay, let it be. It is sad, but this scenario is just what I want. And here is what I expect. Very original, creative, interesting, brutal, paranormal. Or Friday 13th. Sorry, Scott and Gil, I believe you, but I don't believe Hollywood. But maybe I'm not believe Scott a little bit after this. No, I'm sure it will be a very nice game, maybe with its hidden storyline, which will be a perfect ground for creepypastas, and I expect you, Scott, to support it. And that's why FNAF World is cheap. From my perspective, original FNAF told us a complicated drama about child's way of seeing this world, child's fear, a world where nobody will help you, maybe leave you some cryptic memo, and that's all. The rest of life in your hands, and everybody will try to break you. It was deep and sad. And what is here? Well, you are right. I can't know what is here because the game is not out. And it is just my fan rage. Unreasonable and unfair. It is what's happening now with a big part of community. That's why you hanged Mangle. But as hanging won't harm her, as haters' rage won't stop you create FNAF world. And that's great, and I wish you luck. I have nothing against this beautiful game, really, but I wanted to explain a theory and try to warn you, Scott. Think twice before writing anything under the word scenario. That's a great responsibility on FNAF film. It's obvious that it will over a big film based on game cinema season. And in fact, among most of game community, FNAF gained not a good reputation. Sorry, but all FNAF games don't deserve as games more than 5 5.8 of 10, unfortunately. Also, it will be very sad if this interesting cinema season begins great and will end bad. Yes, it can happen. But I don't want to see FNaF film on outsiders list after release. I mean plot and visuals now. And acting. In any case, I wish you good luck and I'll hope to the end that your new games and theme will be great. Thanks for attention, hope to see you later. Anyway, Scott, why did you write their room? No, don't try to troll you. I'm just interested. Maybe it's dialect or something like this. You know, I'm a language nerd. I'll be extremely glad if you explain. Hey guys, if I said something wrong in my videos or used wrong noun or phrase or something, please report about it in comments. Write the right variant, even if it's a jargon, but point it if it is. And if it is an American or Australian English, it will be the best present for me. Thank you anyway. See you around.